Welcome back to Breaking Waves. This episode starts in Navidad, Mexico, where we have allowed ourselves a dock for 1 month to get some major projects done before sailing across the Pacific Ocean to French Polynesia. It is January in this episode, and we have 3 main projects that we need to get done before February. 1, install our shiny new Hydrovane that will steer us for 30 days straight. 2, use the space and power to build a stack pack. And 3, Ben needs to wrap up his last month of his 9-to-5 job. Is it ambitious to think that we can get it all done? What kind of snags are we going to hit along the way?
What's not working is our AIS.
Are we even ready for an ocean crossing? Hit subscribe so that you don't miss out on our biggest adventure yet. I'm Alie, by the way. This is Ben, and you are watching Breaking Waves. If you watched our last episode, you'll remember that we did all sorts of boat jobs before heading off to Tennessee for a few days. When we arrived, we had realized that we forgot to fix our unresponsive windlass. Luckily, I was able to muscle the clutch open, which at least allowed the chain out, even though it was all at once. It made it a bit tricky to know how much scope was out, but with a few revs of the boat in reverse, we got it to bite. A rough start to our days off, but after a session in the water, we forgot all about it. Back at the dock, Ben took the buttons apart to figure out what the heck actually happened.
All that really happened here is the contacts. They were corroded, I would say, as much as I would say they were gummed up. So I've gone ahead and cleaned up those contacts there. Here that I'm cleaning up now. I'm lacking steel wool or something proper to do this with, so I'm just scraping it with a file. But anyway, when the power is connected, when the switch is on, when this washer touches those 2 contacts, the button makes the windlass go out. And so that's just what I'm cleaning up right now, so that when I put it all back together, our down button works again.
I swept in to help Ben with the final stages of the windlass, fixing the windlass. I'm so excited to actually have a working one again. Hopefully this does it. We're gonna try it out.
This is my new hole.
You're so cute, and you look like a little present.
We had to get Alie involved because it's so hard to get the switch back together. If I had to do this by myself, I couldn't have done it by myself.
No.
It required she had to be starboard, port, forward, aft, and I was just trying to barely line things up. I could never have done it by myself. 2-person job.
2-person job. That one works.
Ooh, it's working so good now, though.
Wow!
Woo, baby!
Finally!
Look at, you touch the button, the windlass moves.
Man, it's well done! High five.
Muchas gracias.
Man, it's been awful without the windlass. I was like, I don't know how much chain is out. So let's cross our fingers. But now it's so touchy. This is great.
It's how it's actually supposed to be. For the first time since we own this boat. It was 5 years.
And it wasn't even that hard of a project.
No.
It just took cleaning. It didn't take buying anything new.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye then. Good job today.
Allie's really stoked about this windlass. Gentlemen, if you're still single and you're watching this, I recommend you get yourself a woman that's easy to please. Just gotta fix the button on the windlass so she's happy.
After seeing all that buildup, I decided to service the winches. Okay, I have been putting this off long enough. So, here we go. It only took a few times of us trying to flake our mainsail in heavy winds for us to start drooling over stack packs. We could not, however, afford to pay someone to make it, so I had started scoping out some videos online on how to make one and made myself up a materials list. On materials alone, we saved a few $100s, so I will put this list up on Patreon for anyone brave enough to tackle this job.
What are you up to?
I'm just packing up from my first day working on the stack pack.
You look pretty.
I'm not a detail-oriented person by nature, so this is taking quite a bit out of me mentally, but I am committed to being detail oriented, or trying my best to pay attention to details for this project. So
good job. Hardest part's just getting started with stuff like this.
it's daunting for sure.
So we're in the marina office. There's like a boardroom they're lending to us.
Yeah, it's just Dino's right next door, and it's just storage right now. So they're like, you can use that one if you want. Really nice of them. So otherwise, I don't know what I would do.
Alrighty, guys, back on boat work, trying to make full use of marina life while we're here. The luxuries of being at the dock. At the moment, I'm working on actually a surfboard repair. Because we're going to go surfing tomorrow with our friends Bill from Calico Skies, and also I'm going to try to re-repair the dinghy again. That's still causing us problems. I've got a little water line leak to deal with on the drinking water system, and then I'm going to get the outboard up on the pulpit so that I can do the oil and leg oil change. Get that all out of the way. Today's Saturday, and then I've got Sunday tomorrow, all day tomorrow. After, you know, we cleaned the boat today, filled up with water, just kind of like knocked off a bunch of little things. And I'm gonna start getting my head wrapped around the Hydrovane install. So that's something I really want to get done before we leave the marina here. And Allie's working very diligently at getting the stack pack done while we have access to the marina office. Thank you, Dino, for that access. It's really helping a lot. And yeah, just another weekend, another round of boat projects, and just more preparations and getting ready to get to full-time cruiser mode and like just crush it this year, hopefully. Anyway, knock wood. So yeah, let's get her done. All right, so I was trying to see if we get the vane to fit up on this side, but we just have too many obstructions, the propane locker being the biggest problem really on this side. So we're having to do what I kind of figured we'd have to do when we decided to get the vane, which is take the outboard crane off of the port side and the outboard mount and transfer that all over to the starboard side, because the port side has much more transom space to work with in this area. You can see over here, propane locker really gets in the way, and its propane locker goes like down and over on the inside, so that is just taking up too much space, and so we got to go to this other side. So we got to transfer over the crane and the outboard. Bit of a pain in the butt, but I think in the end it'll make for a better install, and hopefully we'll be able to leave the vane in place along with the davits while the boat is in the davits, the outboard or the dinghy.
With what little sewing experience I have, creating a stack pack from scratch felt daunting. But what I do have is that gene that has me saying, how hard can it be? So I measured 1 million times and cut once. The funny thing is that when I was younger, my mom went to school for fashion design, so she's very good at sewing. And when I was younger, we used to make clothes for my teddy bears together. Somewhere back in my psyche, I know how to sew. However, I seems to have forgotten completely everything that she taught me. And then on the other side of my family, my dad is a diesel mechanic. It's one of those skill sets that I really wish I kept, paid attention to, valued at the time, because both diesel mechanic and seamstress would have come in handy. Anyways, here goes nothing. Hopefully I don't sew my finger to this fabric. I'm not nervous, you're nervous. I don't know. Ben's not gonna be super stoked on like how straight my lines are, but we're gonna have a stack pack probably, hopefully, by the end of this. So what can he complain about after all? Isn't that great? No, it's not great. What the hell happened over here? All right, it's working. Getting the hang of this. I'm walking home from the office. Definitely not as much progress today as I would have liked to make, but you know, working through the kinks is part of the process and it takes up time. And yeah, so it is what it is. I'm ready for some tacos. I am hungry and I'm excited to see Ben. See what he did.
¿Piñada o piña colada? Ya.
Over the next little while, I spent most days bent over the sewing machine while Ben chugged away at his 9 to 5 and tried to troubleshoot our finicky AIS in his free time.
Okay guys, I'm not sure if you guys know or not, but we've been having problems with our AIS now ever since around California. It started to get unreliable and increasingly unreliable more and more until we got to around Cabo, and then it pretty much stopped working. So we would see AIS targets and then they would go away. We would see AIS targets and then they'd go away. We decided we need to get this fixed before we cross the South Pacific. So I've been on the phone now with Raymarine multiple times and done quite a bit of troubleshooting. I've got my Raymarine daddy. He's helping me figure this stuff out. So this is what I learned though. So if you're familiar with Raymarine, and I believe the other systems are similar, but the Raymarine has a backbone, which is the cable that runs all through the boat, and it's a blue and black cable, and it's the backbone of all the electric systems. So all the electronics plug in into connectors that are connected to the backbone, and it's one continuous run. And on either end of the backbone, you've got a terminator. These are the terminators. And if you don't have terminators in place, the system does not work. So we're here in our quarterdeck at the back of the boat. This is where my ACU is, which is the autopilot control computer. And one of the first things he had me do was unplug this white and black cable from the computer. And then he wanted me to confirm, with power off on the whole system, resistance, the two most left holes from that piece there. As is, without really touching any other part of the system, I was getting 120 ohms. That's what I was reading there. And that told the Raymarine guy that something's broken in the backbone. It should be reading 60, and his theory was that one of the two terminators was probably busted. So these are the terminators. You gotta look at the keyway, and then using the keyway as 12 o'clock, which is at the top there, you wanna test 3 and 5 o'clock. There we go. So there's our terminator that does work. 120 ohms is what you would expect. And then when I do that with this one, I get 0 reading whatsoever. So this is my failed terminator. I'm gonna replace the bad terminator with this one and fire everything up and see if that solves our AIS issue. I'm really hopeful this is it, because I got other projects I gotta do. AIS 700 transceiver is now at least showing up on the network. I'm still not displaying AIS targets, but it is showing up on the network. Backbone's all good now. Theoretically, if everything else is good, then the AIS should be working. So, we're back. We have AIS 700 on the network, but we're still displaying no AIS on the i70. So what is that telling us? I think it's a configuration issue. We know the backbone is good. We know that we're on the network now. So it has to be a configuration issue. I know that because I have a green light here and I've already plugged this into my computer with a USB cable. It's doing what it's supposed to do. It's receiving targets, transmitting targets. It knows where we are in the world. It knows our lat long. Either way, we're ruling out some hardware. We're ruling out the network backbone cables, and now we can get into the diagnostics of the device itself, I think.
Troubleshooting electronics is generally a job that spreads over a few days. So any amount of progress is celebrated. And speaking of progress, over in the sewing shop, it's an exciting day. I get to zip up our stack pack. Hey guys, it's starting to look like an actual stack pack. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Is it functional? I sure as heck hope so. Factory right open. I'm looking for a bobbin. If anybody has a sewing machine on board. This is Cindy, she's gonna help me. Oh, thank you so much. All right.
Enjoy. Hopefully you get it all done.
It's amazing how something so small can really derail your project. Okay, so now I am cutting webbing in to make lock straps. These are the straps that go under the sail, over the boom, and strap the stack pack bottom together. I think I made a mistake, but you know, it's too late to fix. I called my mom. I was like, what the heck do I do, Mom? Over the next 2 weeks, I measured 1 million times, cut only a handful, broke 2 bobbins, called my mom thrice, restarted a dozen times, made the stack pack 18 inches too long, and then, finally, we have a stack pack. Now we just need some lazy jacks. But that is for the next episode. Head over to Patreon to see some behind-the-scenes footage of projects we're working on, as well as what it's like to live aboard in Mexico. I've also included my how to build a stack pack materials list, tools list, and the video I used in case you're thinking of building your own as well. Hit subscribe if you haven't already, and we will see you at the next episode.